Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. I would like to first start out by thanking everyone for the wonderful support you guys have been giving to my channel. At the time of the recording of this video, I've only passed 40 subscribers, but I'm getting a lot of views and some shares, and it really pleases me that you guys are enjoying my content, and it's my hope that to bring you more great content in the future. So we're going to get started tonight with Breya Aetherium Shaper from the Commander 2016 set. Breya is a non-green 4-color commander set for an artifact-based deck, so that's what this is. This is our artifact-based deck. The commander herself has some interesting abilities, being able to directly damage the player and destroy weaker creatures and gain you life. But her real strength is in her colors and the fact that there really aren't any other commanders that really support artifacts the way that she does. And she gives 2 Thopter tokens, which are great for sacking and swinging in for some quick damage and that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get right into our deck. As always, we're going to start with the mana base. This is my proxied Mishra's Workshop. I no longer own an actual Mishra's Workshop. I had one some time ago, some years ago. This isn't really unnecessary, but this is a casual deck, as are all of my decks, and my friends let me get away with it, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. Then we move into our 5-color lands. I play a Lotus Veil, Transguild Promenade, and an Exotic Orchard. And of course, Command Tower. Can never go wrong with a Command Tower. And Ruptured Spire, basically the same thing as the Promenade. Those are my 5-color lands that I have for this deck. And moving on, we have Inventor's Fair, a little bit of life, and some artifact fetching. That's mainly what it's for, is the artifact fetch. So I went ahead and included that. Then I have a Terramorphic Expanse, some 3-color lands. I have Mystic Monastery, Arcane Sanctum, Nomad Outpost, and Crumbling Necropolis. These are my come into play 3-color lands. Come into play tapped 3-color lands. Then I play some of the Ravnica 2-mana bounce lands. So we have Dimir Aqueduct, Rakdos Carnarium, Boros Garrison, and Azorius Chancery. Moving in, I played, I believe, 2 temples, the Scrylands, Temple of Enlightenment, Temple of Deceit, because that's all I had on hand when I made this deck. I could probably go and get the other 2 that are in these colors. They're really cheap, so in time I can get the 2 that I'm missing. I have a Ancient Tomb, a foreign Ancient Tomb, Temple of the False God, an auto-include. Then we move in, I have some artifact single-color lands. These are mainly for being able to sack when I need an artifact to sack. So I have the Darksteel Citadel, the colorless one. Then I have the blue one, Seat of the Synod, Great Furnace, the red one, and Vault of Whispers, the black one, and Ancient Den, the white one. All artifact lands. Alright, then I have some basics. I have a swamp, 3 islands, 2 plains, and 4 mountains. Mountains are slightly more important in this deck, I feel. There's a lot of need for them, and red is a very strong artifact color, so that's why I went ahead and did that. Then I have the 1 planeswalker I play, Daretti Scrap Savant. I had intended to get some Tezzerets for this deck too, and you're probably going to want to play at least 1 Tezzeret. I really couldn't find any room to put him in, so if you want to leave some suggestions on putting a Tezzeret, or maybe Saheeli Rai. I have a Saheeli Rai, but again, I just couldn't find room to put her in. So for now, those aren't in here, but I'm definitely up for suggestions on what to take out. I've only played this deck a few times, and what I've got seems to be working really well. But there's always room for improvement, right? So moving on. We have Sorceries. I have this sweet proxy demonic tutor with a Skeletor face. And then I have a Fabricate for fetching artifacts. Trash for Treasure. It's basically Daretti's second ability. I sack an artifact and I get another artifact back. Then I have Madcap Experiment. This can be a pretty dangerous card in other decks, but in this deck, I play so many artifacts and artifact creatures. This is proven to be a quick get out for some of my nastier creatures and some of my better artifacts, purely by chance in some cases, and sometimes I can put something great on top with like a with my Sensei's Divining Top or something like that, and get something great and only have it cost me 1 or 2 life and 4 mana to get something huge out. So definitely played that. And moving on, I play some instants. I play Brainstorm, because you can't go wrong with Brainstorm. Vampiric Tutor and Enlightened Tutor. I don't believe I actually play any enchantments, so this is just for artifacts. Then we have the dreaded Cyclonic Rift, because I'm a jerk and everybody plays these, so I went and played one too. Moving on to my non-artifact creatures. The Dalkon Engineer, great for mana. Best mana dork there is for, or one of the best for artifacts. Chief Engineer, gives all your artifacts Convoke. Great card. If I get either the Chief Engineer or the Vidalcan Engineer out early, it is a real game changer. Faerie Artisans. This might be one I guess I would consider taking out. But it clones your opponent's creatures as they come into play, and puts out a token of that creature. So, and it's also an artifact. So there's a couple of things in this deck that involve sacking artifacts. So it generates a good, quick something to sack and get the benefit from. Padim, Council of Innovation, a thoroughly crappy card for Standard, but an amazing guy in this deck. Gives all your artifacts hexproof, and is also a draw engine. Trinket Mage, go and get that Soul Ring or Mana Crypt or whatever you have going on there. Marionette Master, some terrible amounts of damage coming at your opponents. Just coming into play, you're going to fabricate and put most of the time, I should say, you're going to fabricate and put the 1/1 counters on Marionette Master. And then if you only have one opponent left and you can sack every artifact you have, you can probably kill them with it. So that's a definite include. Hannah Ship's Navigator. I like how they give us the Judge promo art without having to spend money for a Judge promo, so that was kind of cool. Pretty much an auto-include in this deck, seeing how I can get my artifacts back out of the grave with it pretty easily. Sun Titan. Lots of small stuff in this deck, so Sun Titan it is. My Goblin Schweibmeister, also known as the Goblin Welder. This is my German Goblin Welder. Swap artifacts that are in play for artifacts that are not in play. An excellent and pretty much an auto-include in this type of deck. Especially if you're going to go ahead and play something like Faithless Looting, where you get to toss artifacts into the grave. Again, that was another one that I was considering, but I just didn't have any room for it. This might be something that I would consider taking out, I suppose. This Sidra Galvanic Genius lets you mobilize your artifacts into creatures, and you can also give them Death Touch and Lifelink, which is always a good thing. Muzio Visionary Architect. This guy is an excellent draw engine. Get those, it lets you look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control. So it's like, oh yeah, scry like 8 and then get an artifact out of that. So can't beat that right there. Arkham Dexon. This guy recently spiked. I thought I was getting a great deal. It spiked all up to $25. And then I scoured the internet, found one for $10, picked it up. And wouldn't you know, in the 4 days it took to get here, the price dropped back down to $10. So didn't really get a deal. Thought I was getting an amazing deal. But yeah, this guy lets you sack an artifact and go get a non-creature artifact. It's basically a Tinker on a stick, except you can't get a creature, which is totally not a problem because you drop this guy on turn, say 3. Next turn, get your Darksteel Forge going. Solemn Simulacrum, auto-include in any deck. Metalworker. This is actually the Metalworker out of my Daretti deck. If you want to see the Daretti deck, I've included a description below. I'm sorry, I've included a link in the description below. Let me say that right. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a little, not with it. It took a lot of these things out of my Daretti deck. This guy was one of them. I wasn't about to go drop it on $35 for a Mana Dork, but there you have it. Aetherium Sculptor and Foundry Inspector, more or less the same thing, except the Aetherium Sculptor is a little cheaper, and he's a little bigger, and it lets you reduce the cost of your artifacts, which I don't know if you've noticed, we play quite a few of. And then I have my Gear Hulks. I have the Black Gear Hulk, the Noxious Gear Hulk for a little removal. My Combustible Gear Hulk for some draw, because I don't think anyone, now I could be wrong on this one, but I don't think anybody is going to let you mill and possibly deal, 12 damage or 15 damage or what have you. Unless they have a ton of life, and then they're just going to mill and be like, whatever. But if they mill, that's fine. You got ways of getting your artifacts back out. So either way is good for you. Platinum Empyrion, again, out of my Daretti deck. Daretti deck is pretty much in pieces now. Great auto-include. This guy shot up in price because of Madcap Experiment, but I was fortunate enough to get one some months back before Madcap came out, so that was good for me. Memnarch, a very annoying card, so I decided to play that because I like being a jerk sometimes. Mirror Battlesphere, pretty much an auto-include, nice big thug, same with Wormcoil Engine, Big Thug makes tokens. Get him back. Make more tokens. Smack, smack, bam, bam. There we go. Sharum the Hedgeman. I have no idea what a Hedgeman is. It's this guy, apparently. And he lets you get a guy back from the graveyard. Sphinx Summoner for searching for artifacts. Filigree Angel for lots of life gain. Master Transmuter, because we don't have enough cheap ways of getting stuff out onto the battlefield, we play Master Transmuter. That's a lie and an exaggeration, and he's just another one of many crazy things that are in this deck, apparently. Each player, the Ethersworn canon is each player who played a non-artifact spell can't play any additional non-artifact spells. So that is just another jerk card right there for being a jerk. Silas Wren, Seeker Adept. This is one of the alternate commanders for this deck, the partner commanders. Good for getting stuff back up out of the grave. Baleful Strix. Good draw, good blocks. Duplicate, great control. Mirror Retriever for getting more stuff back. And then we have our obligatory mana rocks for this deck. We have Soul Ring, Everflowing Chalice, Ashdon's Altar, a sack outlet, and a mana rock of sorts. Mana Crypt, Command Sphere, Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Basalt Monolith, one of my Proxy Mox Diamonds, another Proxy Mox Opal, Dark Steel Ingot, Gilded Lotus, and those are our mana rocks. I played tons of them. This deck gets going really quick on those. Mycosynth Wellspring for some more mana and a good sackable. Ichor Wellspring for a card and a sackable. Blink Moth Urn for more mana. And of course we have Sensei's Divining Top, because it's a top, and we're playing Commander, so there we go. Voltaic Key, this is just fantastic with all those mana rocks. You get the mana vault out, tap it, you get 3 mana, use 1 to untap it, get 3 more, you end up with 5. Can't beat that. 5 mana on turn 2, yes, thank you. The Veneral's Disc, a win condition with Darksteel Forge, which is coming up. Memory Jar for some nice card advantage. Time Sieve for some extra turns. This theoretically is one that I would consider also taking out. Sacking 5 artifacts is rather steep of a cost. So, of course, Darksteel Forge, an auto-include in this type of deck. Swiftfoot Boots. Skull Clamp for some more card advantage. Mainly use those on Brea's Thopter tokens. And Cranial Plating. This is in here specifically for Marionette Master. I'm sorry, it could be used on any of the flyers, of course. Or, you know, whatever. But it's in here for Marionette Master. Get that Marionette Master up to like 10 or 12 or whatever. And then sack a couple of artifacts to win the game. So that's another win condition right there. And that concludes my deck. I invite you now to like and subscribe, please. The more the merrier. I'm trying to keep this wonderful channel going. And as always, have a great day.